Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable, procures success to the weak, and esteem to all. Yes, discipline is very important not only in the life of a soldier but in each and every individual's life. Discipline is something that keeps each person in control. It motivates a person to progress in life to achieve success. So today's webinar is going to be quite a special one. We have Colonel Melville D'Souza, who has dedicated his life for our country, and he will be speaking on the topic, Our Service at Defence. Colonel Melville was commissioned in the 5th Battalion, the Maratha Light Infantry, on 1st September 1979. He commanded the same unit from September 1999 to December 2002. He has also done the mandatory training courses in weapons, communications, tactical training, including commandos and senior command. He has also served in all kinds of terrain, including mountains, the Siachen Glacier and desert. He has been part of counter-insurgency operations at planning level. He has also been an instructor at the Indian Military Academy Dehradun, the War College at Maho, and the Deputy Commandant of Maratha Light Infantry Regimental Centre. He was also the technical officer at the Service Selection Board involved in selecting candidates for joining the Indian Army as officers. He superannuated from service in January 2010. His father was late Major J.B. D'Souza, and I am very much glad that his both sons are serving our country, Major Adrian and Major Conrad. We are truly honored to have you in our presence, sir. Please do enlighten us with your words of inspiration. Over to you.
Hello Colonel, it's a pleasure for me to meet you today. This interview is part of a webinar series for a youth in various relevant topics. Today's interview is to help our young understand the importance of our defense forces and how we can be part of them directly or indirectly. So as we begin, let's hear from the Colonel himself a little background about himself. Firstly, let me ask you, who or what inspired you to join the army?
Okay, father, firstly, my father was also in the defense services. He retired as a major and settled in Mangalore. But most of my life I spent with him. And I lived in an army background. I liked the life very much that they enjoyed. And I saw my environment. It was a very disciplined organization, very disciplined environment, very clean environment. Most army cantonments, if you go visit anywhere in the country, you will find them as a very clean and a healthy environment with lots of training activities and all that, which builds up a kind of a spirit in you. So this is one of the reasons why I was motivated to join the defense forces, despite the better options available to me in an environment other than the military.
Okay. It's nice to hear you that you are inspired from your family members itself.
There are three wings of the defense forces: Air Force, Navy and the Army. Was Army your preferred choice always?
Yes, because some or the other I had, as I told you, my exposure was more to the Indian Army, and hence I joined the Indian Army. Not that the Air Force and the Navy are any less in capabilities and abilities or the environment.
What do you like about the Army?
First and foremost, it's the Army is a way of life. It is unlike any profession where you are centered onto your profession only. Like, for example, teaching. You interact with students, all right, or as a doctor, you get an opportunity to treat and make people feel better, when they are unwell or so. In the army, it's more of leadership. As an officer, you get to lead a band of men, a group of men, into various difficult situations. It's always a challenging job, whether it is in peacetime or in wartime. Wartime, much more so. But it's always a challenge. Any job that is given to you, any task that is given to you, whether it is, let's say, operational like flood relief or internal security situations, or the battlefield itself in field areas where you are on borders in trying circumstances, and so on. So it's a different way of life, more of brotherhood and working as a team. So that's how it is.
Okay, so you like that walking with the team.
Yes, in fact, the concept of team, which is now being spoken about by everyone in the corporate sector and elsewhere, originated from the army.
Okay.
Yeah, it's originated from the army.
I'm sure many people have asked you how is to work in the army. What is your answer to them?
Work in the army, you said.
Yeah.
Work in the army is always very interesting. In fact, in my interaction with you earlier, you had asked about whether we, have a fixed timing of work. It is not so. Though we are available 24 hours, ready to face any kind of challenge that the days meet you. You may be on duty throughout, but most of the time, especially in peace areas or when we are on the borders, generally, we work, let's say, from around 8 o'clock till about 1 o'clock. We start our day with physical training in the morning, which is generally at around 6 o'clock in the morning. You need to be physically fit. So that's 1 hour that we spend on physical fitness. Then thereafter, we get on to routine administrative work, or it could be even training work that we do. And afternoons are generally reserved for sports and games, and evenings are for social events. If there are any that have been planned, it may be interaction with other officers, it may be interaction with your men in some kind of a social meeting that you have. So it's not all work for 24 hours that we do, but when the need arises, we are always available 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, maybe more.
Wow. That's
Yes.
really great.
Yes.
When you love your job, you generally look forward to get to work every day. What are your feelings when you wake up every day to work at the Indian Army?
I'm always motivated. It's a permanent source of motivation. You look forward to the next day, and there have been times when we have had very very strenuous days in terms of work or the commitments that we have. It may have been a strenuous day, but we always wake up in the morning and we say that this shall also be a great day. So there's a constant motivation every day.
Okay. So every day is for you is a new challenge, and it
Yes,
is
it's always a new challenge.
okay.
Yes, and I'm speaking this from experience of 34 years. It's not just that I'm, telling you good things only. Okay,
Okay.
we've had bad moments, but every morning we wake up on a positive note and wait for the challenges of the day. We don't get deterred.
Okay. That's interesting.
Let us talk about the army. Who can join the army and what are the basic requirements like age limit, educational qualification, etc. Can you help us?
Okay. In my interaction with you earlier, I had mentioned about the two types of entries that we have. One is the UPSC entry and the non-UPSC entry. In the UPSC entry, we have at the younger age, that is about 17 and a half, where you have the NDA, which is a UPSC entry. You have a written examination, and in the written examination, you have these subjects of physics, chemistry, or mathematics, as well as general knowledge and English. Once you qualify in this, as I mentioned, it's a UPSC exam, All India exam. And once you qualify in this, you come in some order of merit, sort of. You get called for a service selection board, which is of 5 days. There is a screening on the first day, and subsequently the service selection board test where three, shall I say, assessors, they assess you in on psychological aspects. And at the end of this 5 days, when you get selected, you then go for medical, and then if you are in the overall merit, then you get called to join training at the NDA. Now, for the same age group, there is another entry, which is the technical entry scheme, which is after your 12th standard with a minimum percentage of 70% in your maths, physics, and chemistry, as well as English, including the aggregate. And then thereafter, the last cutoff that I recollect was 86%. Okay, they go for the service selection board only 5 days, and once they get selected, they can be trained in 3 places. They are called the cadet training wings, which is located in Pune, in Mau, and in Secunderabad. Okay, they go through. I will talk about the training period a little later.
Okay.
Then you have the UPSC Combined Defense Services Examination for graduates, wherein you have general knowledge and English, including one or subject of physics, chemistry, etc. And once you get cleared in that, then thereafter you go for that 5-day selection process at the service selection boards. And once you come, you get cleared medically and in the service selection board, and you come in the merit, then thereafter you join the Indian Military Academy. Okay, it's an 18-month training period. I'll talk about the training periods a little later.
Okay.
Then you have for the technical, along with this, you have also, just with general knowledge and English, you have a short service commission test. I mean, it's in that CDS examination itself. And once you clear that, you go for the 5-day service selection board. And once you get cleared, you go for a short service commission where the training is at OTA Chennai. That service period is for about 10 years, extendable by another 4. And if you do get permanent commission at the end of 10 years, then you can go for the full service till age permits you. Now, I said about the training period. In the case of the NDA, the training period is for 3 years. And after you complete the 3 years, thereafter you go for 1-year training at the Indian Military Academy, and you are commissioned as officers. So it's a total 4-year period.
Okay.
In the case of the technical entry scheme, the training period is for 1 year at the Indian Military Academy, that is military training. Thereafter, you get trained as engineering graduates, okay, for the next 4 years. Now, in this total period of 5 years, after 4 years, you get commissioned as an officer. And in the 5th year, you are completing your engineering degree as a commissioned officer. Okay, now you asked about the age limits. 17 and a half was the starting age, as I told you, for NDA and technical entry scheme. And in the case of IMA, the age limit is up to 22 years. That is, when you are 22 on your birthday, on the joining date at the, beg pardon, I made a mistake there. On the day the training starts, let's say on the 7th or 6th of July, it's generally a Monday, at the Indian Military Academy or at the OTA, on that day, you should be 22 and less.
Okay.
You cannot be 22 plus 1 day on the date of joining. You have to be 22 and less, preferably lesser. Okay. And in the case of the technical graduates, which I didn't mention, I'll just mention it. The age limit is up to 27 years. Like for these technical graduates, if you are an engineer, you have done your engineering from any engineering college, let's say for Karnataka, it's under VTU. If you have done your engineering degree from there, then up to 27 years, you have the option of joining. But remember, as I said, you should not be more than 27 on the date of joining the academy.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in the case of these technical graduates, again, you have short service and you have permanent commission. Permanent commission training is at the Indian Military Academy, and which is a 10-month training period, and you get permanent commission. If you join the OTA for short service, Then it is 10 months training at the OTA, and age limit is the same as I mentioned. And you get commission for in a short service, which is for about 10 years. You have the option to leave after 10 years, or if you want a permanent commission, you can apply for permanent commission accordingly.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are
And then service
yeah.
selection board, sorry, there is no written examination. My apologies again. There is no written examination for the technical graduates. It's based on merit and selection at the service selection board.
Okay. So there are
Yeah.
many ways to enter into Indian Army. That's
Very right. And similar is the case with Air Force and Navy. Okay. Now all these this information in detail is available on the websites join Indian Army .gov.nic.in, and the same thing join Indian Air Force .gov.nic.in, and in the case of Navy the same thing join Indian Navy gov.nic.in. So these are the websites that is available. The moment you write join Indian Army or Navy or Air Force, the URL opens up and you can go into those sites and get the necessary information on qualification, the life that is available, as well as the forms that have to be filled.
okay. Okay.
Every job has a training period. There is a general feeling that the training at the army is difficult. Can you briefly tell us about how this training goes on and for how long before you are deputed? What parts of the training did you find the hardest?
See, training actually is training. You take an athlete, everybody is now looking at Neeraj Chopra, and they have seen the videos that he has gone through. To win a gold medal, you have to go through very, very strenuous training. So if you have your purpose in mind very clear, then no training can deter you. So, the initial part of the training, that is the first week of training or the first 1 month of training, is initial for those who have come from a civilian background and want and join at the academy. The initial 1 month is a little strenuous because your body fat has to be converted into muscle, and that does take a little strain. And it's all about your personal determination whether you want to go through it. So I have gone through the training, and I didn't find it so very difficult. I found it as a challenge every day. Okay, and it was very interesting, in fact.
Okay.
Like regular jobs where people work for 8 to 9 hours a day, do you have a specific time for daily work? Do you get holidays?
Oh yes, in fact, in the army we have for officers we have 60 days plus 60 days of annual leave, that is paid leave, and you have 20 days of casual leave for any emergency that you go, and all these are paid leaves. In the case of the Jawans, that is JCOs and Jawans, they get 60 plus 30 days, 30 days of casual leave, because their job is much more strenuous than ours. The physical strain is much more with them. Okay, so leave is never a problem, and in fact, you are encouraged when you are in service to go on leave and to come back mentally fit and physically fit to join and take on whatever are the challenges of our life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that leave helps you to take more challenges and to be relaxed. Right?
Oh yes, we are very liberal with the leave. There has been nobody whose leave has been withheld for any reason. It is a let's say it has been utilized, except towards later part of your service. You may like to accumulate leave towards your retirement or so. So that a maximum of 300 days of accumulation of leave is permitted.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And it's all paid leave. It's all paid leave.
Yeah, that is something new, interesting.
Correct. And in day-to-day life, that is in our functioning, though there are times when we do work on Sundays, but if it's a Sunday and it's a government holiday, like you have Diwali and so many other festivals in the country, Christmas and whatnot, you do get leave.
Ah,
Okay. But if there is a commitment, some work has to be done, then of course you do go and do your work. But leave is there.
Okay.
Yes.
In a Bollywood movies, we see that when there is an emergency, all military personnel are called back to duty, even if they are on leave. Is this true?
Yes, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And no, I can give you examples of the 65 war, 71 war, where you may be informed, you may get the information on the radio. On the radio, it will be announced, or on the TV, it will be announced that all personnel on leave are to rejoin immediately. That itself is a call for you. You won't get a separate call. Of course, with the present availability of communication systems, you may get a telephone call that you are required out here, please rejoin. And not most, I would say all will immediately reach.
Okay.
Yes. With the available means of transport, they will reach.
Okay. So
Yes.
that is the spirit to go back at any time.
Oh yes, we have had from my own battalion we had an officer from Mangalore. He was in Mangalore at that time, and this was during the 65 war. He got to know, and that time it was on radio. He landed up in the unit.
Okay.
You are colonel today. Did you join as a colonel or how did you reach this position? What are the various positions in the Indian Army?
Okay, see, during my time, there was a rank where you had a single star on your shoulder. That was a second lieutenant's rank. Second lieutenant, 1 star.
Mm.
So we were commissioned as second lieuts. And there is a time period for all these ranks. And you get promoted. I got promoted within 2 years as a lieutenant, then subsequently as a captain. That time, during my time, it was 6 years. And to be a major, you had to be 11 years. After major, during my time, there was a selection process for the rank of lieutenant colonel and beyond. That is right up till the rank of general. Okay, there is a selection process. So I went through the selection process, and I was selected for the rank of lieutenant colonel as well as a colonel. In the present day, the cadets who are under training, they are commissioned as lieutenants, and thereafter, within a year or so, they do become captains. Within 2 years, they become captains, and subsequently, they become majors and lieutenant colonel again in the 11th year of service, and then subsequently, they go through the selection process. Up till for the present lot, up to lieutenant colonel, the promotion is based on time-bound periods. However, to get these ranks, you also have an examination that you have to clear. That is your Part B and Part D examination. These are written examination which you have to clear. Once you clear these examinations, they are basically related to your profession itself. You have examinations on military law. You have examinations on current affairs. That is whatever is happening around. Then you have examinations that are special to your corps. That is, I'm an infantryman, so there'll be a paper on infantry, and then there is a paper on tactics. So these are the papers that we have to answer, and also military history. One more paper is there of military history. So there would be a particular campaign given to you in both these examinations, and you have to study and you have to pass. And once you pass, your promotion to the next rank becomes easy, and it's not so difficult to answer these examinations.
Okay.
You do, of course, it's like any examination, you do have to study.
Yeah. That means we have to get updated every day.
Yes, you see, the army is like any other profession. If you have to be a good doctor, you need to read, you need to study, you need to update yourself. If you are a good engineer, you need to update yourself on the latest technology and whatnot. So even in the Indian Army, you have to be updated on the latest that is going on around. Current affairs is required so that you understand the environment that is prevailing in the world at that particular moment. Okay, so you need to understand what are the political, political as well as geopolitical situations that are going on around the world. You need to be updated. To be a good military commander, you need to be updated on all this. So there is a good amount of study. There are new weapons coming up. There are new weapon systems coming up. You need to understand these weapon systems. There are new tactics, like for example, Turkey, engineered certain drones. One of their thing, and it was used in a local war in Central Europe. So you need to understand technologies like this. Some countries using drones, some countries using missiles. So you need to be updated on all these subjects. Now, this is what is asked to you in the examinations in the subjects that are there. So you need to understand and know.
Okay. Okay, good information about updating ourselves. So we
Yes.
think once we are studied, it's enough, finished, exams and over, so need not update. That
You need to
normally
be
we think of it. So
correct.
that updating will help us to become more handy,
More competent. More
competent. Yes.
competent. See, you need to be very competent to lead a body of men. You can't just be a leader of men and lead them to their death. Their life is your responsibility as a leader. So if you are competent, if you are updated on various issues, you will lead your men successfully in every operation.
No one wants war, but sometimes it is inevitable to protect the country. In these situations, how do you manage and balance your commitment towards the country and your family?
Well, the army wives are some of the bravest and the boldest you can find in the country. Their commitment, their commitment towards the nation as per se, as well as towards the battalion or towards the unit, is always of a very high level of motivation and dedication. There are times when there is uncertainty. You will never find an army wife, whether of a Jawan or an officer, crying and sitting in some place. She herself is brave. In fact, she supports the husband in a manner that his mind is free from, any kind of stress on the home front, and he concentrates on his job. They have been the best. They are always look after. But you see, it's only a situation where you are in war or you are in counterinsurgency that you may have such a commitment. There are many times that we spend some very good moments. In fact, most of the time we spend very good moments with our families. I would like to add that this kind of a life has produced the maximum beauty queens, a large number of actors, a large number of prominent personalities in the country are the children of military people.
Yes. Really, I appreciate the
Yes.
family support for your work and mission.
On a lighter note, we have heard that military families don't have a permanent residence. They move from one deputation to the other. As your family moved along with you wherever you were deputed, what do they feel about moving to new places, adjusting to new situations and challenges?
Well, you see, our movements take place once in 3 years, generally once in 2 to 3 years. And the whole family moves. Now, in case I move to a difficult area, okay, like for example, I was in high altitude for some time, we are permitted, rather, we are authorized to retain accommodation at our previous peace station. So the family remains there, settled down. And as I told you earlier, that we get a fair amount of leave. And you can always come home and visit your family, okay, be with your children for some time while they are at school and whatnot. So we do move quite regularly. And it's not this that we are static at any place for a long time. In fact, our children have found or have been found to be very, very adaptable. That's the reason I gave you that many of them have been able to achieve very high standards. Especially, I told you, like, they can adjust to any kind of a new life much easier than a person who has been static in a particular city or town for a long time.
Okay.
Yes, it is a little difficult, the movement, because you have to transship everything. Your whole household goods moves in a truck. You go to a new place, you re-establish, you make new friends. Your children get into new schools, and they stay there for about 2, 3 years, and they move to the next location. So these little problems are there. But there are many families who have also opted to stay in one place to educate their children, and whereas the husband or the man goes up and down to whichever station. So all these facilities are available. They are there.
Okay. So
Yes.
even though there are difficulties, the adjustments and love towards country, that makes you something different than
Uh,
others.
Not only that, as I told you, that we learn to adjust very easily in the beginning itself. And once you learn the adjustment, it is not very difficult. We also have very good schools. In fact, the military schools are famous for the quality of education that they provide. In fact, we have a law school, for higher education, we have engineering colleges, we have a medical college in Delhi. Then there are special seats that have been reserved and kept aside for, in those special categories, whether it's in your, CT counseling, you'll find that there are special seats available for military personnel, as well as in professional colleges, there are certain seats reserved. So we have no problems on the education front. Of course, the only thing that I told you is that you move to a new location and you have to run around a little bit in the initial 1 month or so, to get admission, which has never been a problem.
Okay, okay,
We have not faced any problems at all. There
okay,
are central schools, for children where they go in to the schools and there are quotas reserved for them. There is not much of a problem at all.
okay.
I'm sure that after listening to your speech, many will be motivated to join the defense forces. Do you have a specific message for those who would wish to join the defense services?
Well, it's a wonderful life. There are excellent facilities that are available to you, especially for adventure. A lot of opportunities available. The station, military station itself provides you lots of opportunities. There are places where, many military stations have horse riding, they have sports facilities, any game that you want to pick up. There are golf courses in every military station where you can pick up golf at uh, I would say 1/20th of the cost that you have to pay in a different place. There are institutes. There are a lot of facilities available. So my message to you is, if you want to have a way of life that is different from what you have seen elsewhere, then the army is a place. The defense forces are the place where you can come in and enjoy to your best. It keeps you physically fit. There are less number of illnesses, and you'll be fine.
Okay. Uh,
Not all of us can serve or are eligible to join the defense forces. How can we help serve the country if not the defense?
See, serving the country is an aspect that you can do even as an ordinary person. Just yesterday, the Padma Shri awards have been awarded. There has been a seller of oranges from Mangalore who has built a school from the profits that he earned from selling oranges in his village. There is this lady Gowda who has planted 1 lakh trees. She is part of the forest department. She has planted 1 lakh trees and nurtured them and brought them up. So serving the country, you can serve in any profession, in any field. But you want a way of life where you want to take up challenges, defending the country, ensuring that all our brothers and sisters in the country live in peace and without in harmony, then army is the great place. Yeah.
okay,
Army or defense forces, I would say. I shouldn't only say army.
okay, okay.
Thank you, Colonel, for your time. I salute you for your service to the nation. Hope that many of our young men join hands in serving the country by joining the defense forces.
I return the salute. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.